Well, hello friends, this is Vicky from Stamp Smiles. I'm sharing a tutorial on how I made this cute beach scene background through ink blending. I recommend using Strathmore Bristol smooth cardstock, especially when getting the hang of ink blending, as it's much easier to blend with and the ink blends smoothly over it. I'm also using this adorable Digidoodle image called Vivian Beach Girl, and I've got her all colored up with Copic markers and cut out and ready to go for her beach scene. To start out, I'm using both Post-it masking tape and purple tape. Purple is great. Purple tape is great for this technique, and it doesn't rip your paper like the painter's tape can. So what I'm doing is taking the image and I'm using it for placement so I can see where I want her to be on this beach scene. I need to create the line between the sky and the sand areas for ink blending. So I'm trying to line up with the glass grid mat to make it as straight as I possibly can. And once I got it where I need it, I flip it over and I put the ends to the back of it. I like to do this when ink blending because I like to move my paper around freely as I do my blending. So I'm starting off with some squeezed lemonade distress ink, and I'm using, my preferred method is using the ink foam blending tool. I prefer this as opposed to the makeup brushes. I tried the makeup brushes. I didn't really have great luck with them. I didn't like them. I actually thought it was worse. Maybe it's because I'm used to blending with these inks and the tool that I have. I don't know. The first color was Squeezed Lemonade, and it didn't really show up that much. So I moved, this is Mustard Seed, and I moved on. What I did is I started with the base of my tool on the purple tape and moved it onto the paper. And you want to do it that way and start out light-handed when you do it. Then you can get more heavy-handed as you go once you see how the ink is going to lay down on it. My next color is Spiced Marmalade, and as you can see, you're going to have to work it back and forth from each end until it blends the way that you want it to go. And the reason why I'm smoothing the brush back and forth like that is because the Bristol cardstock allows me to do that. I'm going to speed this up. As you can see, it's pretty much the same thing. My color here is Broken China, and then I'm going to finish it off with some peacock feathers at the end. And I just kind of work it back and forth, and it's kind of tedious to do it like this, but the end results are worth it. And I think it's a lot of fun to do. And once you get used to doing it, the better it gets and the more practice you get, the better it's going to look. And then you're going to figure out how to do this. And as you can see, I went back over the colors again, and it kind of intensified the colors a little bit more. And I finished off with the blue because I wasn't happy with it. Now when you're done, you need to clean off your area because you're going to have some of that ink all over your glass mat. And I'm also taking the purple tape off because there's probably ink on that too, and I don't want to get any of the other inks on the other portion of it where I'm using different colors. I'm kind of seeing where she's at again on there to make sure it's okay. I take a new piece of purple tape and then also that Post-it masking tape to cover the whole entire area that I just ink blended. And now I'm going to start on the beach side. This is where the ocean water is going to be, and this is the Salty Ocean Distress ink. And I'm just kind of going back and forth over that, and then I'm darkening up the very edge of it with some Blueprint Sketch. And I don't want to go up too far because I need to make the sand area. So I flip it over where the purple tape is at and use the darkest color, Vintage Photo, because you want to use the darkest color at the top and then a lighter color. I blended that out with some brushed corduroy to go into the water area. And then to deepen up the water area and to make it look like a beach scene, I just darken that up a little more. And then of course I'm cleaning again, and I took off that masking tape and forgot that I needed to do this step. This is just a spray bottle with water, and I'm just spritzing some drops on it and letting it set for a few seconds. As you can see, it kind of reacts with the Distress ink a little bit. And then I'm taking a towel and I'm just going to kind of mop up some of that water on there, and it makes for a really nice texture on your sandy beach area. And once that's all dry, I took off the purple tape, and you can see there's on the line, there's just a little bit of ink that kind of reacted with the water, which is totally fine. I didn't mind, because I have this image here and she's going to sit there and you're not even going to notice that it's there. Plus, I think it gives a little bit more texture. And speaking of the texture, I'm going to add a little bit more of it with some Copic markers. I have E11 here, and I'm just randomly making a whole bunch of dots all over it. There's no big deal with it. It's just a bunch of dots I'm putting all over. And this is E13, and I finish it off with the darkest color, E15. If you don't want to use Copics, you can use markers or whatever you have. It's just something to give it a little bit more texture. This is a clear gel pen that I'm using to give it a little bit of shine and texture. Now this is a Spectrum Noir glitter brush pen, and I'm giving the water, the ocean water down at the bottom, a little bit of shimmer. And I think it just adds a nice little touch. Now I'm taking the image and I am gluing her where I want her to be on the scene. So she's all ready to go, and I'm going to use a block to let that dry flat. Now I've decided to take a white gel pen and make some more dots. And here I have stamped and cut out and colored a couple of seashells from the Lawn Fawn Life is Good stamp set. I also made a banner over navy cardstock, white heat embossed the sentiment. And also I have, I'm going to attach that down. I made a banner with that, and I'm just going to clip off the back of it so it fits. And there's a couple birds in that stamp set that I used for the sky too that I thought would be cute. Mounted that over a piece of scalloped die cut navy cardstock and put that over my white card base. And I'm just adding some finishing details. And you can see the full view and details on my blog at stampsmiles.com. I hope you've enjoyed this and this was a helpful tutorial for you. Thanks for stopping by.